Welcome to the first round of Season 4 of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Series Championship here on ApexRacingTV. Tonight we come to you live from Laguna, Seca in Monterey, Southern California. A fantastic circuit tonight. Joined in the commentary box by Brad Klink and behind the cameras Scott Newton. Brad, great to have you on board, mate, and great series to come to. Fantastic track. How are you looking forward to this one tonight?
Yeah, hi Daniel. Thanks for the warm welcome. Definitely looking forward to this. I have actually been to Laguna Seca before and been fortunate enough to do a couple laps around there. So yeah, it's a great place and we should see some good racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the viewers not familiar with the circuit, 11 corners out there tonight. Circuit length about 2.2 miles or 3.6 kilometers. And circuit that has a lot of variation, change in elevation. We drop at points here of 180 feet. So from highest to lowest, pretty big area of disparity there. Guys are out at the moment just finishing off the last of qualifying and looking at the current grid at the moment. We've got Matteo Calistani up on provisional pole on a 117.9, Adam Pillow in a 118.03, and Dylan Pereira on a 118.9 for the GTE cars. Or GTE, yeah, GT3 tonight. Clint Smith currently leading the way on a 1 minute 20.9. Ben Slees a 121.1, and Arianis Dominicus on a 121.5. So field reasonably close together in both classes at the moment. Doesn't look like we got any. Oh, we got one Daytona prototype in Greg Rolfe, but hasn't set a time yet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he takes a start, I guess.
Absolutely. He's coming up on a couple of minutes to go here, so we'll just keep an eye on watching the cars circle their way around tonight and just see if we can pick up any action. It looks like we've got a couple of guys still working around here at the back end of the lap. I'm just trying to see who we've got, and I think this one will be just about ready to go to the grid. All right, so let's bring up the grid now. Starting off, pole position tonight will be Matteo Calistani. Set a great time out there, a 117.9. Adam Pillow in second spot tonight. Dylan Pereira out of third. Max Lee out of fourth tonight. Ingo Bay will start out of fifth. Brenda Nash out of sixth tonight. Adelandino Santano in seventh. Bruno Santos in ninth. Michael Wojcik out of ninth tonight. Adam Littlefair starting out of 10th. I'll drop down here to Janice Philippinis in 12th. Teo Flatland in 12th. Takuya Obi out of 13th tonight with Fran Martinez in 14th. Adam Charles will start 15th. Shuchi Yamura in 16th. Vasishal Habarushi out of 17th, and Gustavo Gomez out of 18th tonight, and that will be the last of the GTE field. Starting on pole for the GT3s tonight will be Clint Smith with Benjamin Salas in second place. Pagnatis Dominicus out of fourth. Alande, series regular, in fourth tonight. Ken Sang out of fifth. Jamie Noon in sixth. Joseph Purichim in seventh tonight, with Jacques Swanpole out of eighth. Mike Hutchinson starting out of ninth, with Alec Rodriguez in 10th. And a slightly smaller GT3 field tonight, but great to see all the guys out there. Doesn't look like we've got our Daytona prototype taking to the field just yet, so we will keep an eye on that to see where he does drop out there. But all in all, good little field tonight.
Yeah, it should be good. It will be interesting if he does take to the race once it starts, because he'll have a lot of traffic to work through. That could be a bit crazy if that happens. So we'll just have to see if he actually makes a start.
Yeah, absolutely. If he's able to come out on the track, it will be fantastic to watch him try and make his way through this field. But key passing opportunities tonight, Brad. Probably the guys looking down into turn 2 at the hairpin, where we just see him rolling through in shot right now. Turn 8 in the top of the carousel, the corkscrew, probably another fantastic opportunity if you can sneak the car in through turn 7, and then probably turn 11 as well to close out the track. Any other opportunities you think the guys could look for some overtaking moves, or maybe even a couple of areas where they might need to be a little bit more cautious?
I think turn 11, the end of the lap, is definitely one of the big ones. Providing you can get a good run through rainy curve and turn 10. I think that's the thing at this track. It's really about stringing a couple of corners together to get that opportunity, and particularly the corkscrews, a classic example of that. You got to get a perfect line and exit through 6, the run up Rahal straight, to really try and get that move done up there. Otherwise, it's quite difficult. As always, it can be quite often about pressuring your opponent in front and hoping or forcing them into a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the corkscrew has been famous for a couple of fantastic passing opportunities, probably most notably Alex Zanardi in the IndyCar back in 1996. And if you go to MotoGP, Valentino Rossi getting that big dive bomb on Casey Stoner there on the Ducati there, that was a huge move for him. And we'll see the guys attempt a passing opportunity. Got the guys coming around to the start of this race, a massive gap between the back of the GTE field and GT3s, and looks like Matteo Calistani will lead this one away, as we've got a couple of guys in the background actually running off the circuit here, but everyone else seems to fall into single file.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a messy start there. No, looks like everyone seems to be behaving down into Andretti now, so it's a good mix of cars out here tonight too. A couple of Fords, which we don't see or haven't seen as often previously. New BOP changes with the Season 4 build on iRacing, so a few guys might be trying different cars from what they've run before. So we'll see how that shapes out over the race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see the Ford out there. Obviously didn't get a lot of love last season there, but nice to have Matthew Littlefield going in, and he finds himself currently sitting down in 9th spot, up 2 positions from where he started earlier on in the pace. So good run from here, as we've got Max Lee off at turn 8 there, the top of the carousel. He's able to rejoin, a bit rough on the re-entry there, drops in front of Adelanton Santanen, and that's a bit of a dangerous rejoin, and he'll have to keep an eye on that. But he's fallen quite a few spots, down 6 positions from where he started.
Adam Pillo's already trying to apply the pressure here for the lead. He's in the Ford. He's one of 5 Fords in the race, actually, so it's good to see that representation.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at Pillow here, gets a little bit of wide just on the exit or entry there through turn 4, but able to sort of regather it again. But he's setting himself up here for a good opportunity move, may even get the run in towards turn 5, and if he can, maybe throw it up into turn 6, which really is only a single lane passing opportunity through there. So we'll keep an eye on this little battle. Once we get through this one, we'll drop back just to the GT3 field as well, just to have a look at how the guys have settled into this one as well. But as you say, the guys up front doing very, very well. But Clint Smith leading the way still from Ben Sears. Alan Day jumped up into 3rd. So a couple of positional changes for a few guys here. Clint starting at a 2nd, so he's got himself up 1 spot there. So he's had a great jump to the start here in the AMG Mercedes.
Yeah, Jacques Swanspole has made 4 positions as well, so he's done quite good. He's sitting 5th in class.
Yeah, that's a great move from Jacques to be climbing up there. It looks like we also got 1 Audi out in the field tonight, so a car that both Scotty and myself absolutely love, and great to see it represented. Unfortunately, Maybe not as many out there as we'd like to see, but still fantastic to have one Audi out there. Looks like Franz Martin had a little bit of drama as well. He's spun just on the exit of turn 10, so he's dropped right to the back of this field, and we'll bring it down the lane for a pit stop. So it doesn't look like any damage there, but it's certainly going to ruin his night.
It looks like Chaslu Habachu, I think that's might be how you pronounce that name. In the BMW, looks like he had a moment just recently on the timing screen there. He's fallen to the back of the GTE field.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. That's a little bit unfortunate there for him, as we've got Valicici Habarucci up there, currently in 20th in the BMW, and not a name we've seen traditionally in the series, but great to have him out here tonight. He's up one position overall from where he started, lapping maybe a little bit slower than what we'd expect from the leaders. Last time by for our leading group there, they were in the 118s, actually the quickest guy, Adam Pillow, in that Ford, 118.8, so that was a fantastic run for him. And when we look at the guys a little further down, here we're seeing him down around the 122, so a 4-second difference in the GTE3 or GTE cars is a long way to make up around this circuit, so we will keep an eye on that. It looks like Franz Martin has also come back out from his run through the pit lane, but he will find himself coming under pressure before the end of this race and potentially going a lap down there, but nice little move up on screen.
So things starting to settle down a bit. This battle at the front of GTE is still shaping up. Got Pillows still trying to apply the pressure, only half a second off Matteo. And they have built up a couple seconds to Braden Nash in third, so they continue to try and break away and make this just a straight fight for the win.
Yeah, and I think we'll see these guys probably battle it out for the majority of the race. We do know that the guys will have to come down the lane at some point tonight and make a pit stop. Traditionally, in the last couple of seasons, it's that window's kind of opened up from about the 20-minute mark to around 25, and the few extremely good operators that we have seen out there have been able to get through to around 35 minutes. So fuel strategy certainly come into play here, and it looks like Adam will be going for the fuel save if he can. So we'll keep an eye on how he goes there. And see what he can do. Braden Nash, as I say, still sitting in third, finds himself 3 seconds off the back of this battle, so he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get back up to it, but certainly with the pace that we can see from the Ford so far, he should be able to do so.
Looks like we've got a GTE car that's sort of getting involved with the lead battle for GT3 at the moment. Cease's just been able to make his way past. Or has he? Yep, he has.
Yeah, that car having a little bit of difficulty was Andrew Charles, so he's dropped quite a long way down, 2 spots off from where he started, so not a fantastic run for him tonight. He's got Inglo Bay behind him as well, so these two are at the back basically of the GTE field, and Bay had a little bit of a spin earlier, was able to recover, so we'll look for him to come through. His sector time's been quite good out there so far tonight, and he'll have a nice little battle here with Andro just to see how he goes and maybe get a pass done as he sticks the nose just up into turn 10 and looking to complete the move down through turn 11 onto the front straight here.
Oh, he runs wide on the exit. Yeah, he didn't hold that position for long, unfortunately.
No, not long at all. Looks like Alain Day coming through as well, so keep an eye on Alain there. Finds himself
got a spinner in the Andretti. Who was that was spun there?
Yeah, that's spinner. We just got the replay of it coming up on screen there. A little half spin into Andretti, to say that was Velasanchi Habarucci, and he finds himself a little further down He'll have Alain Day coming through on him and Andrew Charles. So not a great night for Habarushi out there, but should be able to hopefully settle down a little bit with the car and start making some.
I'm just checking in with the lead battle again, and yeah, it's status quo still. Is it Calistani? He's absorbing the pressure from Adam Pillow so far. Judging by these two performances, it looks like the BOP on these cars must be pretty close, at least at a track like this, without the long straights of other circuits.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know the BMW, traditionally, we've seen, especially last season, was a very competitive car, had a lot of speed in it. As you say, probably equally paced to what we saw from the Ferrari and the Porsche. And this season round, Porsche and Ferrari not really getting the love at Laguna Seca here. So have to see, hopefully they will come back a little bit stronger throughout the season. But yeah, watching the onboard here off the back of Calistani's car, looking back at Pirlo, you can just see the gap just starting to increase just a hair here. The guys are still operating around 0.4 of a second between each other. Lap times only within 1/10 of a second. So these two very, very competitive at the moment. Jumping up here back to the live timing, so 9 minutes 35. We'll just have a quick rundown through the provisional placings in both categories. And as you say, as we see, Calistani currently sitting first, Adam Pillow in second, and Braden Nash in third. Those guys pretty much been in these positions since the start of the race. Actually, Nash up 4 spots from where he started, so he's having a fantastic run out there tonight. In our GT3 field, Clint Smith working his way up, currently finds himself 14th outright and first in class in the Mercedes. Ben Sears up in 16th spot, and Alain Day currently sitting in 17th spot. So a couple of guys managing to have some very big moves here. A couple of the guys that have fallen well down the field. Franz Martin, probably the biggest drop at the moment, down 13 positions, finds himself pretty much second to last out on the field. And looking at where he's running on the circuit at the moment, he's got a lot of work if he wants to get back through. But Alan here on screen, a little bit of lap traffic trying to work their way back through, and it's not really going to want to make this too much or too easy for him at all.
Got a bit of a battle for third shaping up here as well. I think that's just been a change of position. Looks like Pereira has just made a move on Braden Nash down into Andretti.
Yeah, we're just going to bring that up on replay now. You see Pereira with a fantastic run down off the start-finish line, gets it in early down the inside line there into Andretti, and that was a very easy move for him there. I think Nash probably let him go a touch easy on that one, but with still as much time as we've got to go, another 35 minutes. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to probably battle it out too hard, but Nash should be able to hold station here. It looks like also Lee and Wujcik in 6th and 7th are starting to get into a little bit of a battle there as well. As we jump to this field, we've got cars everywhere, 5 cars in this one, so we'll keep an eye on this. But
Bruno, he's had a moment at the top of the corkscrew, running wide, and he went into the dust. He loses 2 places, and he slips back in. Yeah, it's a nice pack here. We've got a train of 6 cars and a bit of a mix of manufacturers as well. A couple wide, 2 wide, another 2 wide. Yeah, this is some nice racing between these guys here at the moment. Hopefully they can continue that and we don't see too much drama.
Absolutely, and looking at the lap times from all these guys, they were only within half a second of each other running around there. As you say, we did see that little bit of an off track there, but all the guys able to get back in as Wurick actually loops the rear, and he'll drop off that little battle pack. Actually loses another position as well, so finds himself down in 11th at the moment with a lot of work to do. But we've got Yanis Filpovic up on screen, the only Porsche out there tonight. He's not doing too bad, finds himself up 5 places and 7th outright tonight, so he's coming on quite strong in the Porsche.
Yeah, he's got Ferrari in the mirrors. Looks like, oh, we've had contact at the top of the corkscrew again. Who was that went off in the Ford there? Might have been Little Fair, was it?
Yeah, it looks like it might have been Little Fair there, having a bit of contact. He was able to rejoin. Doesn't drop as many spots as what we saw from Wujik, so that's a good thing for him. He'll be able to get back into this little fight, but that trainer car is just starting to spread out just a hair here now. But yeah, I should say, Filpovic has a mirror full of Ishimaru behind him in that Ferrari.
It's always interesting at Andretti to see the different lines people take. Some people try to really square the corner off, and whether you sort of double apex it or run wide on the entry, just to try and late apex it. Yeah, different approaches there between those guys. And he's made an error, and that's Giannis in the Porsche there, unfortunately. He's let the Ferrari through.
Yeah, it looked like Filpovic had a little bit of an understeer moment on the turn in through 5. The car didn't really want to go in, and he did run it quite wide there, so could be a little bit of a handling issue with the Porsche. We know, obviously, having all that weight on the rear end of it, it does take a lot of setup work to get it to turn correctly there, but yeah, he should be able to settle down and get back into it. He will have Little Fair now making his way back after that off-track earlier, so we should see this little fight start to heat up again.
I'm just scanning back through the timing on GT3. It's only really one sort of battle at the moment happening there between Ken Sang and it's like a Joseph Purichheim. Both Mercedes drivers, but looks like they could be carrying a little bit of damage there. One is a car. Looks like one of the GTE cars, but BMW having trouble there on the inside of the last corner too.
Yeah, that is Habarucci having an issue there. He's able just to get back in front of this little group, but certainly not having an ideal run tonight. But looking at Perchman and who's this saying just in front, these two being pretty close tonight. They had a couple of little issues for both of them, but still find themselves up 1 and 2 spots respectively. So they're having, all in all, a pretty decent event here. Looking at the timing, maybe just struggling a little bit for grip in the car just through that final sector, but the lap time's not too bad comparative to that. Looks like Jacques Swainpole a little further up, starting to get into a little bit of GTE traffic with Alex Charles just getting through on him there. And he's got himself a battle going to start up again pretty soon, I think, with Jamie Moon currently sitting in 18th position. So we'll keep an eye on that one forming up a little bit later. But up the very front here, Adam Pillow starting to close up a little closer on the back of Kalistani. And these two have been almost inseparable the entire race so far, 16 minutes in.
Yeah, we've also got a similar battle shaping up for 6th. Ishimaru is all over the back of Santos at the moment. He's just shadowing him about a car length or 2 behind, trying to apply the pressure, getting to make a mistake. Looks like they both cleanly through the corkscrew. So he's not succumbing to the pressure there yet. He's actually he's pulled a couple car lengths through Rainey. So he's got some good speed through there. Coming around to close out the lap.
Yeah, and I think the way the way the Ferrari's handling here at the moment too probably is the form car to be in. It seems to be a little bit better on the tyres than the heavier BMW there, and we see a move easily done before the turn into Andretti. So that Ferrari's certainly working well in the back portion of this first stint.
Yeah, Santos unfortunately made a little error. Just went a touch too deep into the last corner and ran wide on the exit and just lost all the momentum. So Ishimura was able to make that pass pretty easy.
Yeah, we're almost getting into the point where these guys start coming down the lane for their one and only pit stop tonight. And if you're in the driver's seat, Brad, there, what would your thoughts be? Come in earlier, try and take advantage and maybe get the fuel in a bit quicker, or run it out as far as you can, maybe try and even turn down the fuel mix and extend it a couple of little extra?
Well, I mean, looking at Adam Pillow's situation, he's been able to stick with Calistani this whole time. He's been practically right under his rear wing, so he may have been able to save a little bit of fuel already, perhaps. Not that this is a particular, there's not a lot of drafting here, effect of the draft, so probably not quite as much, but he could lift and coast quite a bit if he's got the similar pace to the car in front. So if he thinks he's got the pace to go on with it, and they're starting to get into traffic here, he might even go early and try and undercut with a shorter stationary time.
Yeah, it might not be a bad move as we see them working their way up onto the back of some GT3 traffic here. So they're working on the guys currently 21st and 22nd. So a little bit of traffic to contend with. You can just see that gap open up just a fraction while Calistani has to navigate his way through. And being the chasing car here is certainly a lot easier to get a move done. We might almost get one done here, not quite into turn 10. Or turn 11, sorry. And Pilho really starting to get aggressive now.
Yeah, I guess that's the other way. The other way you can look at it is when you get the traffic, instead of avoiding it, you can try to use it to your advantage when you're the following car, which often does work out that way. So it'll be interesting to see as they come up into some more cars soon, whether he'll actually try to make the move, or if he's happy just to stick in behind and apply the pressure and try to sort of play that chess game and plan his move for later in the race.
Absolutely, and we're just on the onboard here with Adam Pillow, so we might just take a moment to enjoy a lap around here as the guys work their way up through turn 5, and we'll see if we can hang on for a full lap here of the circuit and give you a bird's eye view of what these drivers are dealing with.
You can see he closes right up at the corkscrew there. A little wider on the exit than the BMW in front. A little bit of a lift for Rainey. Well, he runs wide at the exit of 10. It's not the ideal line. It is easy to do there, but the road has a lot of camber. I was quite surprised when I went around there myself, just how much camber that corner has. It's just quite deceiving. It holds the car really, really well.
Yeah, it almost lures you into trying to push a little bit further than you ideally should. But yeah, great corner on this circuit. We jump back here to Alan Day and Jamie Moore, the battle for 3rd and 4th in the GT3 category. And this battle really starting to shape up. Both guys in the AMG Mercedes. The gap just sitting on 0.4 of a second here. And looking at the lap times from Alan, hasn't really dropped off too much, but Jamie Moore's certainly starting to come hard in the car there. So we'll keep an eye on this little battle. Closest on track other than the one up the front with Calistani and Pillow, but great to see a scrap starting to evolve here in the GT3s.
Yeah, sometimes you see when the GT traffic starts coming through, it sort of breaks up some of the battles in GT3, unfortunately, and can spread the cars out a little bit. But these guys, they're been able to avoid the traffic scenario so far and still having a straight up battle, which is good.
Absolutely. We'll need to keep an eye on where these guys are as they work their way out of turn 2 here. We've got the race leaders just tipping into turn 2 now. We might have just caught a quick glimpse of them in the back there. So these guys will need to be careful of that in the not too distant future.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out traffic-wise with the pit stop cycle, because we've just ticked over halfway through the race, so a lot of the guys will be considering making that stop soon. If they're not happy with where they are situated on track at the moment. Others that are happy with a bit of clear air, they might stay out and try and stretch that fuel as far as they can.
Absolutely. Looking pretty good in the Mercedes at the moment. Maybe a little bit unsettled just on the initial tip-in through the corkscrew there. The back end's starting to move around a little bit for him. So he'll be trying to adjust maybe a little bit of brake bias to help compensate that. But as you say, halfway through race distance now. And these two not really letting up on each other at all. Keep an eye on this battle. The gap up the front is just extended just a touch as the boys making their way through some traffic. Now they're working up on the back of Panagotas Dominicos. So we will see these guys starting to come through. And then not too far up the road was that battle with Jamie Moore and Alain Day. So these guys are all going to be up pretty close together in very, very soon. Maybe a lap, a couple of corners here, depending on how they go with the speed. But certainly hasn't really impacted Calistani or Pillow.
Yeah, just looking at the best lap times, the leaders are doing sort of high 118s, mid to high 118s in GTE, and we've had 121.2 from Clint Shane Smith in the GT3. So there's for a short track, that's a reasonable spread between the two cars for lap time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just see that GT3 traffic just getting in the way a little bit there. Calistani not really giving him a run down through the corkscrew, and that's closed the battle up even tighter again, 0.2 of a second in it as the guys work their way through the final corner. And Adam able to probably get a little bit better run there, was able to tip the car in a little harder and get onto that apex where Calistani had to brake it just a little bit harder offline there. So he's going to go defensive down into turn 2 there, and Pillow not able to get a move done on the initial entry phase. But as you say, multiple lines through this corner, he might be able to come back through for a crisscross maneuver, but he's certainly having a crack here very hard.
Yeah, Pillow's definitely been using all the track and flirting with wheels on the dirt there. So just a slight little error there. He's dropped off a little bit here. Lost 2 or 3 tenths there. We did have seen a couple GT3 cars make their way through the lane as well, so pit stop cycles are starting to happen. They're just about to come up on some more traffic here. That's the 2 guys that were battling that we were just watching before, so they're trying to have their fight here, and we've got 2 battles, 2 separate classes converging.
Yeah, we might see if we can get a bit of a replay later. Oh, that's not going to be great for Calistani, as both Day and Moore jump into the lane there. That will actually probably hurt Calistani a little bit on the run in. But look at Alain Day, he had the car really crossed up across the top of the corkscrew there, able to recover it. And as you say, we saw both battles there really starting to converge. But now with Pillow being released, it'll be very interesting to see what he can do lap time wise, and maybe even how much further he's able to run this car. So the guys currently working, I'll just try and find what lap we are working. We are 21, so as you say, just over half race distance here, and a little bit further to go. Maybe with that draft, you might be able to extend this 1 to 2 laps extra for him.
Yeah, it could be a bit of a masterstroke from Pillow here, because he's got a lot of clear track in front of him, so he can really just put the hammer down and put in a good lap or 2. And if he was able to save a little bit of fuel with lifting early during that battle in the early part of the race, his stationary time could be shorter as well. So
yeah, well, that will certainly help if he's able to run it a little further. As you say, not putting as much fuel in will help. Looks like the other couple of cars that we had going in the lane. Alan Day and where are we? Jamie Moore are both back out on circuit, so we'll keep an eye on that one as it unfolds. But turning our attention to 5th and 6th out on track at the moment, Kalistani's dropped into a fierce little fight here with Ishimaru trying to work on the back of Max Lee there as well. So these guys are really getting into it, and this is going to hurt Kalistani a lot, having to try and work his way through this.
Yeah, it's definitely looking busy. Pillow has still stayed out, and looks like we actually have no one in the lane at the moment. I know we've got a GTE car that has just gone in there. Kalistani's been able to make his way past Ishimaru. Maru. I will get that name right once in the broadcast, hopefully. But he's still getting boxed up behind Max Lee here, so this is looking very good for Adam Pillow at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Pillow able to get another good lap in. We'll keep an eye now that he's been released. The last lap he did was a 1:19.4. This time as he crosses the line, an 18.6, and that was his personal best out on circuit as well. So he's got a lot of pace still left in that car, and trying to make the most of it while Matteo Calstani is held up behind Max Lee at the moment. So keep an eye on this. Looking at where our GT3 leaders are, Clint Smith back out in front, Ben Seas in second, and Alan Day still sitting in, or should promote himself up into 3rd position now after his stop as well. So all of our leading group there have come down the lane. Jamie Moore actually dropped a couple of spots back as well, so we'll have to keep an eye on where he is able to rejoin into this little group here. But all in all, the guys putting on a fantastic run. That battle with Kalistani in the GT3 or GTE field, still ongoing. He's unable to find a run there past Max Lee, and this is really going to start hurting his attempt at getting up and past Pillow when Adam decides to come down the lane.
And Pillow has stayed out again. Decided to take advantage of this clean air.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart move for him. It looks like Max Lee's just jumped in the lane as well, so that will release Matteo Calistani. But I think with those couple of laps, he's dropped close to 4 seconds here on top of his pit stop, which for those interested to know, the stationary time at the moment is 50 seconds for the GTE field and about 55 for the GT3 field. So when you throw in an extra 4 seconds and the fact that Adam's able to run that little bit longer and shorten up his fuel window, he's going to be in a really fantastic position here to potentially have a nice gap when the guys do all come back out on track. Looks like we got Adam Pillows jumped in the lane, so we'll see if we can keep an eye on the stationary time as we've got the track map up as well, just for reference to see where Adam's able to fold back in. Kalistani working his way down through turn 10 at the moment, and he doesn't have anyone out in front of him either, so he should be able to get going. Adam Pillows back moving again after his stop, and that was an incredibly short time for Pillow. We'll keep an eye as he exits out through the lane, and
it could be closer than we thought, though. I actually expected Pillow had gained a lot more time than that, but it's still a significant lead given that he was in P2 when Kalistani decided to pit.
Yeah, absolutely, and that hindrance of having to get through that lap traffic there with Ishimaru and Max Lee really hurt Kalistani's down 4 seconds at the moment on Adam, so got a lot of work to do. We've got a little bit of a difference in the tying board at the moment with Dylan Pereira and Brendan Nash currently showing first and second, but drivers still yet to take their pit stop tonight, and they're getting really good mileage out of the Ford and the BMW. Currently 33 minutes in, and yet to make a stop there. But both these drivers now down the lane. So when we get these guys in, the top order will reset. And we'll see Adam Pillow jump back up to the top of the tree.
We've got a bit of a battle shaping up for P8 at the moment too. Looks like Santana's trying to close on Onby.
And they got a little bit of lap traffic in Alande just in front that they're going to have to negotiate as well. So that will certainly make this a little bit interesting for him. But looks like Onby able to try and get down the inside, but looking off the back of his car, Santana not letting this one go. And these guys should be able to get a move done here down into turn 2. I don't think Alan's going to try and book this one. He'll let them through. He's pretty smart racer, old Alan, and he'll be looking for a strong finish. Currently sitting third in that GT3 field. He'll want to get that car home for a great result for himself.
Yeah, I don't think either of these GCE cars have made their trip down the lane yet either, so looks like they're on similar strategy, so it should be a fight through to the end of the race.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be very interesting just to see how long the guys are able to get it out. So for the viewers playing at home who haven't stopped yet, Ishimaru currently sitting third, yet to make a stop. As you see, Scott, I think he just brought up the timings on there. Santanos yet to come down the lane for his stop. Filpovic, Ono, Santana, Little Fair, Bay, are the last of the GTE field to come down. All our GT3 runners have managed to do their stops tonight, so that's good news for them. Actually, Wujik has a couple in his name as well, so he's been down the lane twice tonight so far. And for those unfortunately not able to get through and finish, looks like Sang, Hutchinson, Charles, Mantinez and Ralph all non-finishers tonight.
Yeah, so it looks like there's a lot of those late stops happening now. Quite a few GTE cars on the lane. And just see how this all cycles out shortly when the stops finish. Looks like some of those battles have been broken up a little bit by this pit stop cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the gap up front between Pilo and Kalistani, that's starting to extend a little bit further at the moment, upwards of 5.5 seconds now as we see Ishimaru dropping in for his stop tonight. He will be the last stopper in the field to come through the lane. Filpovic's up on screen. Actually, sorry, apologies. He's still yet to make his stop also, and we just say that now he's dropped in for the fields window, so the guys know when we're jumping to him as he brings that in, and Ombi as well down the lane for his stop.
So yeah, 36 and a half, nearly 37 minutes into the race. So with the restricted fuel tank size for this series, that's doing quite well. A lot of sort of low-speed corners to accelerate out of this track, so you do use a bit of fuel here.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I think it was last season, the best fuel range we actually saw out of a Ford was in the hands of Richard Westbrook at Mid-Ohio. He went close to nearly 40 minutes without making a stop, so for the guys that can work it out and get on top of that fuel window, they can certainly do very, very.
Oh, Nash is just went a little deep in the corkscrew, had to slow up through 8A, which is the bottom apex. And he's got a 5-second gap in front to try and chase down Pereira, so it's looking unlikely, unless there's an error in front, that he'll be able to make his way onto the podium.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get there. The pace for Nash just a little bit off at the moment. He's about 0.4 a lap slower than Pereira currently, so if he does want to get up there, he's got 5 seconds to catch up in just over 7 minutes. So got a lot of work to do. It looks like Moore and Dominicus down in the GT3 field are going to be the closest battle, also up on track at the moment with a gap of about 0.4. Looks like Max Lee had himself a spin, also getting out of turn 2 there. So he's starting to really struggle in that Ferrari as well.
Yeah, he and Ishimaru were quite close together there for a moment. I don't think there was any contact, but yeah, I think Lee must have made a small error and Ishimaru was able to get through into P5. And we've got a spinner on screen. It's Jamie Moore in the Audi.
I think that might have been Dominicus there, actually losing it through turn 6, and 6 is probably one of the hardest corners on the track to get right. If you can tip the car in without clipping that apex curb, which really seems to unsettle the cars or hit the dirt. So good avoidance there from Jamie Moore to get back up, and he's got Alain Day just in front of him as well, so should see this little gap close up.
Jacques Swinepole is looks like he's closing on Carcass after that problem he's had. So he might be able to capitalise and make up a position here.
Yeah, it looks like both cars with that little bit of damage. Obviously, we saw Dominic Harris go off there, able to rejoin. So he only lost the one position, but does find himself down 2 spots from where he started tonight. And likewise, Swinepole with a little bit of damage on the front end of that Mercedes. But this little battle will shape up pretty quickly here, and we'll keep an eye on that. Likewise, the battle with Alain Day and Jamie Moore at the moment, that's 0.6 of a second and starting to close up as well. Jump on here with the onboard on Jamie and just see him working down through turn 10, runs a little bit wide, takes a little bit of the dirt on the entry there, but flows the car pretty nicely through. And watching the guys here, they're running as far out onto the apex curb, on the outside curb, as possible to square those corners off. And Moore comes through here a little bit quicker actually than Alain Day, 0.7 of a second faster last time by. So he's certainly getting on with this one and trying to go that extra spot and get up on the podium.
Yeah, the curves here at Laguna are quite flat, so you can use them quite a bit. You can see just on the inside of 3 there is a raised section, and again here at 4, a little red, not really a sausage curve, but just a higher part, and that can unsettle the cars a little bit, but otherwise the curves here are quite friendly, and the Mercedes generally, the way most people have that car set up is that it can ride the curves probably a little bit better than the Audi and the Ferrari.
Yeah, and if you are able to get that car set up right to use that benefit of it, certainly can be very, very fast there. And we're starting to really see that from Jamie Moore there. The last few laps for him after getting released there from Dominicus, he's been quite quick now, and the gap that he's got himself to Alain Day there really starting to close right up. These guys a little further back off second, about 23 seconds at the moment, but we're going to have a fantastic little scrap in the final 3 minutes of this race.
Looks like there's towards the tail end of the GTE field, there's actually another little battle happening, which we're kind of a little bit out of sight, out of mind, but is it Bay and Little Fair? They've been quite close together for the last couple of laps, but as I say, that looks like Little Fair's just had some trouble. He's dropped a couple seconds back.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Littlefeld just to see whether he can close that gap up. We'll stick here with Alan Day and Jamie Moore. This is still the closest battle, and Moore down within a tenth of a second periodically there, and he's certainly looking the more racy of the two here. So Alan going to have to be very, very cautious. Leaders have probably got about another 2 laps left in this race, so Alan's going to have a lot of work cut out for him as we see Moore trying to go down the inside. Not a place where you can get a pass done cleanly on the dirt. There's been quite a few attempts at it in previous IMSA official races and that, and not being able to get it done. But Jamie's really working hard to get this move completed.
See very different lines through 11 there. Jamie's trying to get a better exit and get a run down the straight here. Try and make a move into Andretti. He's looking for the inside. Oh, and that was brave from Day. He just cuts across the nose. They end up taking similar lines through the exit.
Alan doing a fantastic job to try and square that car off. I actually thought he was maybe a little wide on the exit of turn 11 for the run down the start-finish line there, not able to quite get the nose tucked in, but the run he got through turn 2, able to extend that gap half a second now, and just struggling, I think, a little bit for initial turn-in and mid-corner phase in that Mercedes at the moment, but certainly making it as wide as possible here for Morn to get through.
Yeah, Jamie actually made a small little error on the entry to 3, which is why he dropped off a little bit there. So here we go. Day getting defensive. It might hurt him on the exit, but he's holding it together for now through Rainey. He has a good line through there. Doesn't feel the need to defend into 10, but he'll probably go defensive here into 11. Yeah, he goes to the inside. And
yeah, we're just going to jump up here to Adam Pillow now as the clock strikes the 45-minute mark. Adam's on his final lap, coming through turn 10, and just about to drop into 11, so he might actually clean up Chuck Swainpole just in front of him there. And Adam Pillow with a fantastic run, extended his lead out to 11 seconds over Calistani, and he will take race 1 or championship 1 at season 4 at Laguna Seca. Fantastic result for him. Calistani coming across the line in 2nd position, and not what he would have wanted after having that fantastic run earlier on. And then Dylan Pereira for the IMSA group coming across the line in 3rd, and a fantastic run for him. BMW 2nd and 3rd with the Ford up front. Leading the way in GT3, Clint Smith coming across the line now, and he takes a well-deserved win, led from start to finish in the AMG Mercedes. Cease in 2nd place, crossing the line, and that battle with Alan Day and Jamie Moon still going on, and will continue across the line. Day's extended his gap just a touch here now to 0.8 of a second, and he should be able to bring this one home. Tips it in for the final time through turn 11. Gets a great run out, doesn't go too wide, and he will cross the line in 3rd position tonight. So fantastic drive and defence there from Alan Day in the closing minutes of this race.
yeah, Moon might be a little bit frustrated with that. He definitely had a couple opportunities, but ended up falling away a little bit towards the end there. And we see a couple of the other cars coming through. There's Gustavo Gomes coming through in 14th. And I think that may be everyone across the line now.
Yeah, that was a absolutely fantastic race. Everyone's across the line now, and momentarily we'll jump through to the finishing order. But yeah, that was a fantastic race, and here we are, race results up on screen now. We've got Adam Pillow taking the win ahead of Matthias Calistani. Dylan Pereira home in 3rd. That was a fantastic drive from him. Braden Nash in 4th. Sochi Imamura in 5th. Max Lee had a few issues tonight, finds himself home in 6th. Yanis Filipovic in 7th. Tanaka Onobi in 8th. Endelton Santana in 9th. Tio Flatland in 10th. Ingo Bay comes home in 11th, and Matthew Littlefair rounds out the GTE field in 12th. Clint Smith takes the GT3 class win tonight ahead of Ben Cease and Alan Day, who fought off Jamie Morn right there to the very end, and those guys finished third and fourth respectively in class. Lap down finishes in the GTE field. Velasucci Harabuchi and Gustavo Gomes come home. Jacques Swain-Pole finishes down in 19th. Panaguts Dominicus in 20th. Alex Rodriguez in 21st. Joseph Puricham 22nd. And then we're starting to get down to the non-finished tonight in Bruno Santos comes home 13th. Michael Wichik 24th. Ken Sang 25th. Mark Hansen down in 26th. Andrew Charles 27th. Fran Martinez 28th, and Gregorov rounds out the field in 29th. Unfortunately, not able to start in that sole DPI tonight. We're going to jump to driver interviews next. Looks like we've got Clint Smith just there, so we'll drop him in and we'll have a chat. And I might leave that one for you, Brad, if you like.
Yeah, no worries. Hi, Clint. Welcome to the booth, and congratulations on a fine win in the GT3 class. Looks like the track conditions were a bit tricky with the temps out there today. How did you find it?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? Cheers for that. It was. It wasn't too bad. I did the race before this one just to see what it was going to be like, and I knew straight away that the front tires in the Merc are going to struggle massively because it was pretty similar temperatures. So pretty much my game plan was to get up front, build at least a 2 or 3 second lead, and then just pretty much just watch my pace after that and save the front tires, because the first race I did tonight, I was down to, I think, 45% tire life in the front. And this race just then I was down to 50, so I managed to reserve some of those tires, but yeah, it was getting pretty tricky towards the end with the front end.
And almost 12 seconds at the end. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong part of the timing screen. It was actually a massive gap that you had it towards the end. Was it just being able to stay in clear air with your pit stop cycle? Did you use that to try and avoid the traffic, or?
Yeah, no, I did, because I noticed that we were coming up to lap, I think it was 60th place at the time in GTEs, and I think it was about a second half a lap slower. So I pitted about 4 laps earlier than what I would needed to. And then just come out to a gap, and like I said, just race to a lap time and try not to push too much in the front end and roll into the corners and try not to use the ABS too much, otherwise they'll just choose your front tires. So yeah, nice conservative race that was.
Yeah, no worries. Before we leave you, do you have any shout outs you'd like to do?
Yeah, no, definitely a big shout out to you guys at Apex. Obviously, you guys put this on for the community, so big thank you to you guys. And first race win in my own solo team. So for endurance races, I'll still be racing with Rev It Up Racing, but for tonight it was CS Esports. So thanks to Joel Real Timing, MS Flooring, Virtual Racing School. And yeah, that's about it. Future as well is Kokoda Sims and Skins. So they're in the middle of doing my livery up. So tonight was an interim livery until my new one. So hopefully next week for round 2, I'll have my new livery.
That sounds great. We look forward to seeing the new skin next week.
Yeah, cheers to that, guys. Have a good night.
Congratulations again on the win.
Cheers.
All right, and we'll bring Alan Day up here, finishing third in class. Alan, congratulations, mate. Come home third. Great to see you back out for season 4. You found yourself in a fantastic battle at the back end there with Jamie Moon. Tell us a little bit about how you're racing, how you found it out there.
I'll probably say, yeah, the race seemed fairly easy at first, but the card seemed to like turn off from the midpoint of the race. I was finding a lot of understeer, especially as the tires were starting to like overheat and the track temperature was getting a little bit higher. So definitely have to work on that. But Jamie was keeping me honest. He was quite a bit overall during that race. So definitely left a little bit of entertainment on the table, which I'm glad about.
Yeah, it looked like Jamie had maybe a little bit more pace to get up there with you after the pit stops. Were you, as you say, you were struggling a little bit with understeer? Was it that you're finding the tyres just not being able to provide the grip, or something in the setup that maybe not quite to your liking to get the nose to hang in towards the apex of the corner at the back end?
I think I probably more than anything, like for myself, I was probably pushing a little bit too hard, more than anything else at the start of the race, trying to keep up with Clint and Benjamin in the top two. So when obviously my tires started to die off, then Jack, because I was faster than Jamie and Jack at the start of the race during the first 10 minutes or so, but then they started to catch back up during the middle of the race. Like I managed to pull myself a bit of a gap from Jamie after the stops, but he just then started to catch up back up to me with when traffic was starting to come through to us. So I think that probably made it a little bit tougher than what it probably should have done. But I think that was just more of me just wanting to stay out of trouble to make sure I had a clean car as possible to try and fight off against Jamie at the end.
Yeah, it was a fantastic drive, and I think you probably earned the widest Mercedes comment on the track tonight as a result of that. But was a fantastic run there, especially watching it in the back half of the race. There, it was absolutely great to see, and great to see you back again for another season, mate. We thoroughly enjoyed seeing you out there last season. And before we let you go, enjoy third tonight. Is there anyone you wanted to give a bit of a thanks to?
Well, Craig A. Williams definitely been helping out with the setup quite a lot, trying to get the setups better than average for this season, try and make us more competitive as a whole. So definitely thanks to them, and also E-Team Brit has been helping me out a lot overall. Like one thing I wanted to make sure of is to try and make myself better for the last laps and try and defend position, which obviously from that race has definitely helped out immediately. But yeah, and the whole team as a whole has been working very, very hard to try and get up the ladder. A new team in a new area. So definitely big thanks to the whole team as well.
Fantastic, mate, and all going well. We'll look to see you back out on track next week, Mid-Ohio. Certainly a track we know we've seen you run quite well at previously, and certainly look forward to catching up with you, hopefully at the end of that one.
Yeah, definitely hanging around for that one, definitely.
Fantastic, mate. Well, we'll let you go and enjoy the night. So thanks again for dropping in. And that was Alan Day finishing third tonight in the GT3 field, and well-deserved podium for. All right, it doesn't look like we've got any other interview drivers coming in, but before we close this one out, Brad, what were your thoughts on the race tonight, mate? I think all in all, we saw some fantastic racing up in both categories.
Yeah, it was good. The start was it was a little bit messy at the start there, but there wasn't any. We didn't really see any big dives or dramatic contact. There was a lot of drivers making sort of forced or unforced errors. But the racing itself was quite clean, particularly that battle in the middle of the race when we had sort of in the mid pack for the GTEs there. That was really enjoyable to watch. And yeah, having driven this track before, it's always good to sort of reminisce about that when I see this track. Going through the corkscrews, it's really hard to describe. That elevation change is quite dramatic, and I think it's about 60 feet between the top apex and the bottom apex that you drop in very short space of time. So yeah, it's fantastic track, very iconic, and always love doing laps around here myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you say, that battle in the middle certainly brought up a lot of great racing between all the drivers. And again, we must congratulate the podium, both classes. Adam Pillow taking the race win, Matteo Calstani in second, Dylan Pereira third for the GTE, and Clint Smith, who we saw come in for an interview, along with Ben Sears and Alan Day in the GT3 field. That being said, we'll quickly cross to Scott for a run through of the upcoming schedule, and we will then look at potentially calling this one a night, I think.
Yeah, so the upcoming broadcasts on Apex Racing TV later on tonight, we have the BSR MX5 Pro Series. That'll be on at 19:15 GMT. That is at Monza, so that will be certainly one to check out. That will be on the iRacing Esports Network for that one. And then on Wednesday, at 1900 GMT, we put the Sim Racers World GT3 Championship. That will be at Montreal for round number 1 of the championship. On the Thursday night, we have the ARL TCR League that's just started up after the conclusion of the BSR-TC Kia Pro Series. So it's great to see that the Audi TCR car is getting a league in that one. So that will be on 1900 GMT on the Thursday. That will be at Brands Hatch for round number 1. On the Friday, we have the iRacing Le Mans Series. That will be the 1900 GMT top split. And that will be at Road America for the first round of that championship. On we've got no broadcast. Sorry, we got broadcast on Saturday at 20 GMT for Formula Renault 3.5 championship. That is just starting up, I think. Sadly, I don't have the track details for that one, but that will be at 20 GMT on Saturday as well. And then on Saturday night, also the 2200 GMT top split for the official IndyCar Championship on the road side. That will be at sadly I don't have the track for that one, but yeah, that'll be the top split IndyCar Championship, top split IndyCar Road series for that one, 2200 GMT. And then on the Sunday we have the AMF GT Championship. That will be on at 10:45 GMT. I know that I'll be back in the booth for that one alongside Daniel in the commentary box with Jonathan Simon. That one, I know that yourself, Brad, is actually competing in that one, so we wish you best of luck for that one. Then later on the Sunday night, we have the ARL British GT Championship. That will be on at 1900 GMT as well. That will be at Road America for that one as well, I think. No, sorry, that will be at Brands Hatch. Sorry for that error there. So Brands Hatch 1910 GMT for that one. And then I think also, actually, we've got the World GT Championship as well. That will be on at 1910 GMT for that one as well. That will be at Watkins Glen, and that will be broadcasted on the iRacing Esports Network, and then we'll be back for the second round of the championship for the IMSA Sportscar Championship, which will be at Mid-Ohio, same time next week at 10:45 GMT.
That's a very busy schedule you have coming up. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's looking forward to those races.
Yeah, so a lot of action coming up on Apex Racing TV, so be sure to tune in at those times as well, and also to the broadcasts that we have on the iRacing Esports Network as well. A lot of action that we have coming up, so certainly looking forward to those races coming up.
Yeah, and from all of us here at Apex, I'd like to thank Brad Klink for joining me in the booth, Scott Newton on the cameras tonight. I'm Daniel Leet. Thanks for Race 1, Season 4 of the Sportscar Championship here at Laguna Seca. We'll catch you next time.